Hey, it's Johnny, and it's time for your Lakeshore Lancer football preview. We have Al Pashoka with us, and your Lakeshore Lancer preview brought to you by all season by our friends at Lazer Graphics. Give them the stuff they want from Lazer Graphics. Go to their website, lazergraphics.com. Al, this is a big game for the Lakeshore Lancers, a game that I think everybody in the communities in Southwest Michigan look forward to. They call it the War by the Shore, but it's a fun rivalry between neighboring towns.
Yeah, I don't necessarily like the military reference, but I know there's a lot of football military things. And I'm guilty of it too. Sometimes I call the quarterback the field marshal of all things. But I'll go back, and I've been doing these games since the early 90s. And I'll never forget Coach Doc standing at midfield as the crowd was filing in. And it was 4 or 5 deep. They had just redone the stadium. There were probably 7,000 people, don't tell the fire marshal, in the place. And he looked around and said, this is a better atmosphere than a lot of D2 colleges with the band, both bands, great turnout from the community on both sides. Just the atmosphere is so cool. It's unlike probably just about anywhere else in Michigan. There's big rivalries all over the place, but this one really is kind of fun. And it's just the maize and blue on one side, the red and white on the other. It's a great atmosphere, good atmosphere for kids to play in. And Wolfie had a statistic that just blew my mind, that this is the 70th meeting, and St. Joe has scored 1,214 points, and Lakeshore has scored 1,214 points. Wow. That would be the definition of a rivalry. Even though we've had wild streaks through these games, St. Joe won, I think it was 21-1. They won the first 21 of 22, and then Lakeshore won 20 straight. And now we've gone back and forth over the last 15 years or so. So it's been a lot of fun. And this is a powerful St. Joe team. This is a really good football team that Lakeshore has got coming in here tonight.
Yeah, and the great part about these games is that you never know what to expect. I mean, you always know that there's going to be a lot of people there because, of course, neighboring towns, they're all going to show up. But you never know what happens on the field, because records really don't matter. Because I know in the past where there's either been a really good Lakeshore team and a not so good St. Joe team, and St. Joe's ended up winning it, and vice versa. It's happened before. So what could we expect when we come to watch the game tonight?
Well, Johnny, that was a great point. I mean, even look at last year. I mean, St. Joe dominated that first game 35-0, and Lakeshore came back, went over to St. Joe and beat them in the playoffs 20-15. Nobody saw that coming. I mean, that St. Joe was a prohibitive favorite. The thing about the Bears is, when I looked at their roster, and I saw them twice last year, I'm looking at all these linemen, and they were all sophomores and juniors. And I go, oh my, look out for St. Joe next year. And all these kids are now seniors, and they're really having a nice season. What the Lancers found out last week is we can throw the football. There's no question about that. If you give Landon Hall 3.5 seconds to throw the football, he will carve you up. I don't care who you are. Kalamazoo Central decided to play man-to-man defense, no safety in the middle. St. Joe's not going to do that. They're going to mix it up on defense. Steve Graziano is an old Lancer coach. He's watched the spread offense for a long time. We'll see some zones. We'll see some cover fours, some cover threes, some different things. Kalamazoo Central just said, hey, we're going to play man-to-man. If you can beat us, beat us. And Landon Hall set school records for completions and yardage in a game, 24 completions, 449 yards. He had 4 touchdowns. He should have had 5. He had one picked off in the end zone where the receiver ran the wrong route, or he would have had 5 touchdowns as well. So he's a kid who can really just unique arm talent. And over the next couple of years is going to be a lot of fun to watch. So I know Coach Thompson would like to run it a little bit too. So if they could get some balance in that offense, I think that would make a difference. And then on defense, you got to tackle. And when you're in position to make the tackle, you're going to have to make the tackle, because the Bears can run it. But this year I've noticed the Bears can throw it too. So they've got a little bit more balance on their side. Davis Crossman's done a nice job on offense, leading that Bear attack. And it's going to be a big challenge for Lakeshore tonight. They'll have to play their best game of the year, no question.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, linemen, it's going to happen on the line of scrimmage where, right there at the front is where things are going to happen, whether it's on the offense or defensive side. You got to help. The line needs to help the run happen so that you can set up the pass and then also protect the passer. But then on the other side, you got to get to the St. Joe quarterback as well to stop some things. And they've got a solid running game as well. So, yeah, right there on the front is where things are going to happen.
A wise old coach named Paul Bergen told me one time, it ain't about the X's and O's, it's about the Jimmies and the Joes.
Yep.
And by that, he means it's the fellas, the big uglies up front sometimes. So, and when you have to make adjustments like sending more people to try to stop the run, that's where you can get in trouble, get gashed. But Lakeshore played I thought, a much better football game last week against a pretty good Kalamazoo Central team. Jumped off to a nice 14-0 lead, and then they unleashed this kid by the name of Keontae Gibson, who's going to play on Saturday somewhere. He had 3 touchdowns, and it kind of changed the momentum of the game. And we came back, got a couple of scores at the end. So we'll see if that's something they can build on. And you just don't want to get behind early, and where you have to throw it every play.
Mm-hmm. Well, we look forward to this game all year, every year, the Lakeshore St. Joe rivalry game, and look forward to listening to it as well, because what I love is that I can listen to it almost in stereo. I can listen to the St. Joe side, I can listen to the Lakeshore side, and hear both sides of things. And I suggest that even if you go to the game, you can still listen on the app or bring a radio with you if you want, because that makes that fun in-game experience even better.
A lot of people are listening on their phones in the stands, I've noticed. So that's really kind of cool. And and if you want the unbiased version of the game, 97.5 Y Country is the place to be tonight. Pregame at 6:45. As always, I'll call it right down the middle.
All right. Looking forward to it, Al. It should be a fun game to watch and listen to as well. Your Lakeshore Lancer football preview is brought to you by our friends at Lazer Graphics. Give them the stuff they want from Lazer Graphics. Go to their website, lazergraphics.com. That's laser with a Z.